Hey guys, my name is Dereka Hill, and I am the founder of Dereka's Designs. We have been a part of this amazing wreathing community for about 5 years now. We make wreath attachments, we sew them, we do no-sew also, but really anything to do with fabric and hot glue, we do it. I'm based just outside of Huntsville, Alabama, and I mean, there's so few people in this community that we haven't met or talked to. So if you don't know about us, if you hear noises in the background, we do have parrots. We have 6 of them. You're gonna hear little squawks and squeaks here every once in a while, but they're in the other room. They hear me talking in here, so I think that's why they want to be in here with me. But no, I can't do a tutorial with them squawking like that. So just forgive me for them, because there's really not much you can do to keep a parrot quiet. You can't just give them a chew stick like you can a dog. So anyway, I started this business 5 years ago because I was making wreaths regularly and selling them locally. But when I really wanted to build my business and start putting my wreaths on Etsy, well, 5 years ago, there was not a lot of options. Like, you could check Etsy and there would be 300 wreaths all using the exact same sign from Hobby Lobby. And there wasn't a lot to choose from. And attachments were still just so few and far between. Like, you really couldn't find any anywhere. So I thought, you know what? I bought a sewing machine. I'd never sewed before that. And I started making my own attachments. And then I started making wreaths with them, putting them on Etsy. And I was getting messages all the time from wreath makers saying, hey, I don't want to buy your wreath, but are you selling that bunny or whatever it is I put in there? And it just kind of steamrolled from there. And I opened a private group on Facebook, and people, I started inviting people from Etsy to join. And we've really just been a small company that gives our wreath makers and our communities, a different choice, a different option, not the same old thing that everybody else is purchasing. Of course, now there are a dozen stores online that you can buy attachments from. Every store has attachments now. I mean, it's a big business, and they saw that back then, but we still make ours. Every year I'm still asked to make the same things. People love, their customers love, like this bunny butt attachment here. This is our staple bunny butt. It's a sewn bunny butt. It's just basically a pillow with a couple of legs and some ears. So, that's really all it is. And we make them every year, and every season we bring out new things. Like, some of you might recognize the spider over here. Obviously, spiders are a huge deal for us every Halloween. We just have so many. I have so many ideas in my head. It takes me a long time to finally get something on paper, because we do make so many of our staples every year. I like to throw in a few new things once in a while. So this opportunity for me to partner with Deco Exchange and the Creative Coaching Group, it just couldn't have happened at a better time. I am ready to pivot my business as far as scale down the amount we're making. It's gotten to the point where myself and my 2 kids who help me, we're kind of overwhelmed sometimes. We will get in several hundred orders and at one time, when I release something. And it makes long wait times for the customers, and things just can feel like it's dragging you down sometimes. So I have opened a private group, a subscription group, where I'm teaching my members how to sew these attachments and how to no-sew the attachments. So I really do try to make items that we can do both with. So when Damon contacted me to, make a pattern for you guys here in this group, I thought, what a fantastic way for me to really start incorporating the no-sew items into our list of attachments. I think we're in the 400 range of different types of attachments that we've made. It's just insane how many there are. But So like if this is the sewn one, this here is a no-sew version. Very simple. I wanted to make our first tutorial, our first attachment, something anybody can do. This is not complicated. You don't need to go out and purchase a ton of stuff. That is another thing I stress. I want you to be able to make your attachment and not spend $20, $30 on all the supplies. I mean, if you're going to spend 30 bucks on the supplies, then you might as well just buy it from somebody else already made. I mean, that's my thought. I don't want to spend all my money buying all this stuff and then have it sit on a shelf for a year because I don't have time to make it. You guys are wreath makers. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So this attachment here, you can literally make this for under $5. I mean, and if you buy the amount of, like half a yard of this white fur, maybe a quarter yard of any kind of, you don't have to use leopard, but any kind of cotton, fleece, flannel, whatever print you want on the toes. And then the foam board inside there is $1 at Dollar Tree. Pipe cleaners, we all have those. I mean, literally, right now, because I have all the supplies, I could probably make this for under $1. Or I could spend $5 and make 5 of them. Really want you to be able to use the tips and tricks that I can give you to make cute attachments. Of course, we don't want 100 cookie cutter, do your own thing, right? Find a fabric. Now, if you want leopard, then by goodness, use leopard because it's popular. Everybody loves it. But your cotton print here can be anything you want. Your little bunny tail here can be any color you want. Just whatever you find, whatever matches your cotton print. And of course, this white, you can do brown, you can do gray, you can do whatever color you want in the bunny fur here. So don't think that this has to be done exactly like this. Maybe the first one until you make a few and you can kind of get the hang of it. And then after that, go out and go to the store, go to Hobby Lobby, and pick out things that maybe match a ribbon you have or something you've been wanting to use. I try to keep most of my products that I use in the attachments for these tutorials coming from Hobby Lobby, Dollar Tree, and sometimes Walmart. Just depends on, I try not to do crazy online stuff where you've got to order, 20 yards of some trim like this, and spend $10 on something you might only use a couple inches of. I want you to be able to, like I said, I want you to make money on your wreath. I mean, there's no point making your own attachments and putting the time and effort into them if you put so much time and effort and money into them that your wreath has to be priced way out of its price range, or your customer's price range. If you are comfortable selling $75 wreaths, then you need to make attachments that keep you into that $75 spot. I mean, if you sell $150 wreaths, then you can put a little more money into your attachments. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of people out there who they still sell wreaths for $45. So being able to make an attachment like this for just a couple of dollars, I mean, that not only is it adorable, it's custom. They can say in their ads, I made this. This is handmade. It is not store-bought. All that stuff, you can really use to your advantage when you're selling on Etsy or Marketplace or wherever. So everything is, made by you. So to me, you can't get any better than that. So as we go along on this tutorial, I'm going to show you the no-sew version, but I will also throw in little tidbits here and there if you want to sew it. If you're a sewer and you have a sewing machine, I love to sew. I love it. The look of this bunny butt is very different when you sew it. You can make the feet bigger and puffier. You can make the body bigger and squishier and puffier, and everything just becomes more plush. Whereas it's kind of hard, it's not bad. It's great for a wreath, but I prefer to sew. But you don't have to, okay? But I will tell that for those of you who do sew, and if you want to learn how to sew attachments, you're more than welcome to join my group. It's called Wreath Attachments and More on Facebook. And if you need any information about that, I can get it to you. If you go to derekasdesigns.com, there's a way there to join the subscription group. It's just $20 a month. We do 2 big attachments like this every single month. And, you know, I give you the pattern, I give you the supply list. I do kits. We are probably going to have a kit available for this. If you're one of those people that just doesn't know really much about shopping for fabrics, we will send you everything you need to make this in a kit. That will be listed on the webpage as well. Like I said, it doesn't cost a lot, but it's the time and effort put into cutting all the pieces and doing that. That's where your cost comes in. Our time is valuable. I know my time is valuable, and I definitely know how to charge for my time for making something like that. So that's all things that we learn in my group, because I don't want anybody out there making something like this and not increasing their profit double, you know, because when you put a handmade item in a wreath, you should be getting some profit out of that sucker. So let me just walk you through really quick. These are what my patterns look like. Yeah, they're not professional. You know what? My son is a techno guy. He says he can go in Photoshop and make this all pretty and make this the font. And you know what? I like writing it out. I like drawing it on here. My patterns are all mine. I've never purchased a pattern ever. I have never, yes, I get inspiration from places, because everybody does, even with your guys' wreaths. You know, you get inspiration when you see something. You're like, oh, I need to make something like that. But then you make it your own. Nothing I've ever made has been given to me as far as a pattern or anything. And as I go along and we start doing more patterns and more things with this creative coaching group, I will tell you little stories about how patterns are created, because sometimes it's the weirdest thing that I will just draw it out and it's a pattern. I've had some patterns where I just literally sat down with paper and drew it out, cut it out, and it was a pattern. And there was no thought and there was nothing measured. There was, you know, that's just me. That's just me though. So you'll get these pages like this, and most of them have the individual pieces just kind of drawn out. It tells you how many of the pieces you need and what the pieces are and what fabric. Like, you know, this is the foot pad, so it's cotton print fabric. You need 2 of them. Makes sense, right? This is the outer ear, the big part of the outer ear. This is going to be your faux fur, whatever faux fur you're going to use. You'll need 4 of those, because now if you're sewing, you would really only need 2, because you could sew it to the inner ear. But because we're gluing, you need to have 4 of them. And that's just the difference between sewing and gluing. There's really no benefit either way. I just like sewing, you know, so I'm always going to promote sewing, always. There are 2 things in this world, or well, the main thing you'll never see me do is paint. I don't paint. I'm not going to paint anything. I'm not going to be painting any pieces. Nothing I make ever in the entire time, 5 years I've been doing this, have ever painted anything. So we're not going there. But see, we got the feet. You need 4 of those. And then when you get down to stuff that's too big to fit on an 8x10 piece or 8x11 sheet of paper, you know, I'll put like connect or something like that on there to let you know that these need to be taped together. And then when you cut out your piece, you're going to cut it out in one big piece. And then what I do, just because, you know, I use these patterns over and over and over again, I trace them onto fabric board. Or poster board, excuse me, fabric board. And then I'll write whatever is written on the pattern. I'll write that on my poster board. And then I fold them up and I put them in a manila envelope. So later I have this. Now you can use, I mean, you have a pattern right here that has a bunny ear in it. If you just have a wreath that you just want bunny ears, there's a pattern for bunny ears. You don't have to use all of this together. And that's another thing in my group. We used a snowman pattern from December and used several of the pieces off of it to make a leprechaun last month. So I try to incorporate the pattern to make it easy for everybody. They've already made something with this particular piece or this particular part of a pattern. So I show them how to reuse it, you know, and into another pattern. Sometimes you can, but not all the time, you know. So I really do, we work very closely together in the subscription group to make sure everything is, everybody understands what's going on. Okay, so this is foam board. You can get these at Dollar Tree. You get a sheet of 24 by 36 for $1. You can get them at Hobby Lobby in the framing section. You can get them at Michael's in the framing section. It's foam and it's a board. But you gotta be careful. You don't want to crease it. Once you crease it, it never uncreases. You know how a cardboard box has those corrugated lines in it, and once you bend that line is always there. This kind of does the same thing. So you want to be kind of gentle with it, just because you don't want to, like I said, it won't look any different from the front, but sometimes depending on what you're trying to fit it in, if it's got a big crease in it, it'll close up on itself. So depending on how tight you hold the fabric and that sort of thing. So we have our board. We have the extra big piece of fur that is, of course, bigger than the board because we need to be able to glue it onto it. We have the 4 cut feet. This is just a piece of white felt, using it for a backing. Now, you could use some of this fur to put it on the back. It just doesn't, if you're putting your item directly into a wreath, then you might not even need a backing on it. But because we sell these, I like it to look nice when a customer receives it, so I put backing on it. 100% up to you. And then, of course, we have the outer ears. Then over here, I didn't want this to fall because I know it's just more of the leopard fabric, and I've cut everything out, and all these pieces are on the pattern. So you just follow the pieces and cut them out. And the pattern did say 4 pipe cleaners. I'm going to use 6 because I'm going to use pipe cleaners on my board to attach it to the wreath. So not everybody does. It's up to you how you want to attach this, but I'm just going to use pipe cleaners. And yes, I'm going to put the pipe cleaners through the board, and you'll have to extend them with more pipe cleaners. So you might want 8 pipe cleaners instead of 4. So, you know, just you can kind of judge that. I don't think you can glue the cable tie mounts onto these. I've never tried. This is paper, so it actually might hold pretty well. And this the little bunny, it's very light. So you might be able to glue the cable tie mounts to the back of this, which would eliminate, you know, all the 2 of the pipe cleaners. But either way, just make sure you have a handful of pipe cleaners. And then of course you'll need a little pom-pom. Now, they have bigger ones at Hobby Lobby. You can buy different colors. You can make your own. You can do whatever. But this is just the little plain white pom-pom. Something I have on hand, so I just used it. So first thing we're going to do, I'm going to zoom in for this now that I've done my little spiel here. Sorry guys, I don't want to, well, hopefully that zooms in. Amiibo is like not happy with me right now. Okay, so you got your hot glue. Okay, this is the quick little hot glue spiel. If you have one of those little $2.99 AdTech hot glue guns from Walmart, you know, the cheap ones, the low watt, it's not going to hold your fabric. Sorry. You need to get a glue gun that is high temp. It has to be high temp because high temp will make the glue a little bit more liquidy, not so rubbery. And what you want is that glue to be a little more liquidy to get into the fibers of your fabric. This is way overkill. I mean, nobody needs to have this glue gun to do attachments, but I would say if you're going to get a glue gun, make sure it is at least 50 watts. I think they come in, well, my Surebonder, I use a 20 watt. That is it's a high temp glue gun, but it is a detail gun. So it's just for me to get little detail things, like to glue on little eyes, rhinestones, that sort of thing. But you want a glue gun that is high temp. And those of you who burn yourself often, I'm going to try to show you ways to keep from burning yourself, but ultimately you're going to have to get really comfortable with your glue gun if you're not going to sew the items. Well, even if you do sew, I still use hot glue on everything. So make sure you have a high temp glue gun. You don't have to spend a lot of money. I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know, a $100 glue gun. I think Surebonder has an 80 watt glue gun that is $30. You know, and you could probably use, if they have it at Hobby Lobby, you can use the coupon. And maybe, oh no, you can't. Coupon's going away. Never mind. Either way, you just literally just don't use one of those little $2.99, $5 low temp glue guns from the store, like the little tiny. And if you guys are using those in your wreaths are going to fall apart anyway. You want to invest in a decent glue gun. Can't stress it enough. There's nothing worse than a customer contacting you saying, hey, it's 96 degrees here in Houston and everything's falling off of my wreath. Come on, guys. I mean, if you want repeat customers and you want your business to go forward, you cannot have your items, especially your attachments, falling apart everywhere. So invest in a decent glue gun, okay? Not an expensive glue gun, but something that is high enough wattage and can get up to a high enough temperature that the glue comes out more of a liquid than a rubber. That makes sense. And it will burn you though. So that's the trade-off. You have to learn how not to burn yourself. So, and through the years, my fingers are just like Teflon. I wonder sometimes if I even have fingerprints because I get so hot. So I'm going to use my pipe cleaners. I'm going to quit talking. You guys will get me off on a tangent here and I'm going to go. And I just poke it directly through the foam board. Now, if you're going to use cable tie mounts, you don't need to do this part. If you're going to put holes in the edges and put it on that way, then you can do it afterwards. Like you could literally just, poke a hole in the back of this felt back here. You don't have to do all this. This is just how I do it. But think about how you are going to attach it. When you make an attachment, you want to think about how it's going to go into your wreath. So if you're using a grapevine, obviously you want to put the ties, vertically, not horizontally, because you want it to go along the edge of the grapevine. If you're going to put it at the very tippy top of a wreath, then you want them to be down here. You're going to put the very bottom. Just think about where your attachment's going to go in your wreath is the bottom line. So, okay, so I have those two in there like that. You can't really see from that side, but you can see from this side. So now we're going to take our fabric and we're going to cover this side, so our pipe cleaners are sticking out the back, and you can fold them down, get them out of the way. They're going to be in the way, so, put it basically right dead center, as close as you can get, and then you just start gluing. Put a line of glue, and then just start pulling it over. Now you kind of want to go with the curve. Let's see how I pushed it all over and then I stuck my hand on it to hold it down. I'll do that again. So you do about, 3-4 inches and then just slowly pull it straight around the curve and then use your fingers. Hopefully you haven't put so much hot glue on it that the glue ekes out of there. And then just hold it down so that it's all being held. And you may have to go back and re-glue little pieces here and there just to hold them flat. No big deal. So one thing with these attachments is you really can't mess it up. You can always go back and fix it. So I'm just kind of walking around with my fingers and then I just hold it down. So my hand is not physically touched any hot glue yet. So just make sure, think about it before you put the glue in there. I'm just putting a fairly decent amount right on the edge like that. So, and then I just take it and I pull it straight in from each side, and then I just kind of use my hand to hold it down. Okay. We just got to hold it for a second. You definitely want to let it cool off before, because we're going to have to stuff this with polyfill. The wonderful thing about sewing an attachment is you can stuff it as big and fat and, as big as you want it. When you're using hot glue, you can't stuff it very much because you're going to pop through all your hot glue seams. There's just no way around it. But, you just have to be mindful of that. And as you're putting little bits of polyfill in at a time, and if you see a little hole starting, then get their hot glue. My detail gun is what I would use to, kind of fill that little hole and make sure it doesn't pop through all the way. Okay. So it's all cooled off. I can't really feel much heat on there. Let me grab, oops, where's it? Down here. Boxes of polyfill. So now I just start with a little handful. Now I have left this whole bottom open. I should have mentioned that before. This whole entire bottom has not been glued yet. So I need to get my hand in there. So This fabric is wonderful. This is called plush felt. It only comes in white, black, brown, tan, and like an off-whitey color. That's all it comes in. But it's called a plush felt. It has a little bit of stretch, but like felt, it doesn't stretch too much. Now fleece stretches a lot. So you have to, depending on what kind of fabric you're using, you have to really know how much you're going to stuff it. But this is it's kind of firm like felt, but see how, well, you can't really see from there. I know white is the wrong color. See how it's just kind of puffy? You're just getting like this little pillow effect on here. And you just want to take little handfuls and kind of use your hands and just shove it in so it's all even. You don't have any little empty corners. Now, when you're doing this, this is probably when your board is going to crease. As long as you don't keep stuffing and keep stuffing and keep stuffing, you shouldn't really notice it. Okay, let's put these back down there. So we just have this cute little half a bunny back here. So then you stuff all of the polyfill inside, and we'll get these twist ties out of the way. It's the only bad thing about using the pipe cleaners. They really do get in the way, but I guess I'm just used to it. Now, one thing is hot glue will absolutely not stick to polyfill whatsoever. So you have to make sure that when you glue this, you don't have, when you pull this over to glue it, there is no polyfill coming over the edge. It will not stick. It's kind of like silicone with hot glue. It will not stick to it. I'm going to pull a little bit of this out of here. I feel like I got it a little too fat. Hold on. If you don't have enough fabric to pull over to glue, just pull a little bit of your polyfill out. I think that's what I did. So get your polyfill in there, use your hand, and then always start in the middle. I put some hot glue just in the middle there, and I'm pulling it over. Now this piece, you're going to want to hold this for a second. And then keep holding that. I'm holding it with my left thumb there. Then I'm going to start bringing the other pieces over. And just kind of get the glue so that everything is touching. Now, obviously, when you're done, if there's any pieces that are really bubbling up, like you had too much fabric, you just take a pair of scissors like that, and you can just trim them, like even up here. Don't go all the way to the edge, but if you have little bumps that you feel like are gonna, be an issue, then just trim them off. Okay, so then we'll do the rest of this other side here. Some glue, and I'm just going to grab it and I'm going to kind of just fold it over onto it, and then just hold it for a second. Don't try to pull this too hard. The amount of fabric on that pattern should give you plenty. Actually, we have like 1.5 inches up here overhang and only 1/2 inch down here, so I really could have moved it down just a little bit. And these little corners are always the ones that have the big lumps. And you don't have to cut these off. I just do. It's such a habit for me. I'm doing this for so long. There we go. Like I said, the back doesn't need to be pretty for you guys if you're just putting it directly into a wreath. But for me, I always try to make my back pretty. I don't know. We have glue strings, glue globs. Okay, so we're going to set this aside just for a minute. It'll cool while we're working on everything else. Now, the feet can be a little tricky. So, what I like to do, you have to do them in steps when you're using hot glue. And if you're sewing this, I want to tell you also this one. If you were going to sew this one, if you didn't want to use the board, use 2 pieces of fabric this size, not the big size, because you're end up with a gigantic bunny butt. This size, and then if you're going to sew your feet, then your feet will be proportionate with it. So even though this says on here this is the foam board, it's the size of the foam board. If you want to sew this and not use the foam board, use this pattern, not the other one, okay? Just like I said, it would be this big. I mean, it'd be way too big, okay? So just a tip if you are a sewer, and I hope that there's a few of you out there. And then what you would do if you were sewing this, obviously you would put right sides together, sew all the way around, the whole thing, don't leave any holes. Then you would take your scissors and you would put in like an inch hole right about here. And that's where you would reach in and you would flip it around and you would stuff it. And then when you went to glue it, you would glue around that hole onto your butt. Nobody would even know the hole was there. So if you're a sewer, those are the things you want to do. But since we're hot gluing, I'm going to show you this. Now, these have to be done in 2 separate halves because the glue has to cool. So I'm going to take my foot, I'm going to fold back the top part of it, and I'm going to put a line of hot glue all the way around the edge, all the way around that half. And then I'm just going to take this and I'm going to fold it back on top of it. You see how I did that? I didn't pick up the second piece and put it on top and try to match them up. And then you have to put it aside and let that thing cool because you can't stuff it if it's warm. So we're going to do the same thing with this one. You line the 2 pieces up, right sides out. Well, the first side out. They're lined up perfectly because you cut these together, hopefully, in 2 layers. So they should line up perfectly. If yours don't line up perfectly, then you might want to get in there and trim a little bit. You know, make them line up. But you don't glue and then try to set this on there because you will be burning yourself. It'll not line up. It'll be a complete, it'll hurt. It'll be painful. So put them together where they completely line up like that. Fold the top one back. But see how my fingers are holding it? It's not going anywhere. Folding this top part back. Take your glue, go around the toes and halfway up to where you have it folded. And then you just literally let it fall and go like this. It's going to fall directly in the spot where you had them lined up. So you don't have to worry about glue. And if a little tiny bit of glue ekes out, it's okay. I mean, obviously glue is messy. It's going to get everywhere, but just those need to cool before you can do anything. So we're going to do the same thing with the ears. Okay. Ears are going to be a little bit different though. Whenever you cut these pieces, you should always cut 2 at a time if you can. I mean, it's not so thick that 2 of them, that way when you go to put them together, they line up. Because I promise, it doesn't matter how many times I've done this or how many years I've done this. If I cut 2 separate pieces, when I go to put them together, they are not 100% going to line up ever. It's just the way it is. So if you cut them 2 layers of fabric at a time, they line up perfectly every time. Okay, so this is where we're going to need our pipe cleaners. Okay, so we're going to put the pipe cleaners in first because it's just easier, get them out of the way. So we're going to go about a 1/2 inch from the edge, about a 1/2 inch. Doesn't need to be too far over. And we're going to put a line of glue all the way, almost to the, not to the very tip. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put our pipe cleaner on it. And just set it on there. You don't need to press it on there. You don't need to be, you just want to get it on there so that the pipe cleaner is like following the curve of the ear. That's the other way. So we'll do the other side. Those are the birds. It's just started raining really hard, and I think they're looking outside, and they're birds. So, okay, so take your other pipe cleaner. Now, don't put a huge glob of glue on here where it ekes out and burns your fingers. Just kind of curve it around, and if you just touch the pipe cleaner to it, it's going to hold. Now, if you wanted to, you could flip it over right now and then push it down. You know, make sure the pipe cleaners are really stuck on there. But see, you're not burning yourself if you turn it over. So then what you would do is you would take your matching piece, place it on there, first side out, of course. And we're going to do the same thing we did to the feet over there. We're going to lift up halfway, and my hand is holding this section over here. We're just going to throw some glue, throw it around as close to the edge as you can get it without it coming out. A little bit on top of the pipe cleaner, maybe inside the pipe cleaner, You don't have to glue the entire ear unless you really want to. Just the edges are fine. And then you take this piece and you just let it fall down. And then you just hold it for a second. We're going to let that cool. Set that right there. And we'll do this one. I would prefer to use wire instead of pipe cleaners, but I know a lot of people, you guys have white pipe cleaners. So I just kind of changed my pattern. I need a glue stick. Changed my pattern to make it easier for you guys to access the supplies and things. Okay, so got a line of glue. I'm just going to tap it down and just not going to get all into the glue or anything. Same thing over here, a line of glue. There. And then if you wanted to flip it over to adhere the glue to the entire pipe cleaner, that's fine. It's going to might get a little glue on your board or your mat, so no big deal. Okay, so take your matching piece, place it on top. Do the same thing where they line up. If they don't line up, it's okay. You can always go back and trim them afterwards. I mean, it's not a huge deal if they don't 100% line up. You know, with attachment making, it's very forgiving. I'm sure you guys have purchased things that weren't perfect. But for me, a handmade item isn't supposed to be perfect. It is not. You hope that it's not going to fall apart, you know, and things aren't going to fall off of it and that sort of thing. But when you purchase a handmade item, it's never perfect. And you know what? That's okay. We don't have to be perfect. We're just having fun, right? Okay, so these have cooled now. So I can put my hand inside where the little toes are. And I'm going to use a little bit of, I'm going to go ahead and stuff just a little bit of polyfill. Just little like cotton ball size stuffs in each toe. Because this is glued, you can't just shove some polyfill in there. It will pop, the seams will pop undone. No matter what kind of glue or how hot your glue was, at some point a seam is going to pop. So you have to just be very gentle when putting the polyfill in. So get it in there. And remember, you don't want any polyfill around the edges because hot glue is not going to stick to that polyfill. So we're going to go up a little bit further, not all the way to the end, but just up the sides maybe. And we're going to put it down again. And we're going to have to let that cool. Because now what we have is a little opening on the end here. So we can finish filling the foot with the polyfill without the seams bursting. So, like I said, this is why I prefer to sew it. Because, like I said, you can make these big, just chunky feet, and I love the way they look when you when it's sewn, because you're not going to pop a seam when you sew it. But you know, this is just so much easier, and I know a lot of people out there don't sew. It's one of those those kind of arts that is just died. It's just literally died, but I love it. I never sewed a day before I started making wreath attachments, but now that I do, oh, I enjoy it. Now we don't make clothes, and we're not those kind of sewers. I mean, we make pillows. We make fun stuffed animals and that sort of thing. So, but like I said, if any of you enjoy sewing, we would love to have you in the group because we do a lot. Okay, so again, I'm just going to go up, not all the way to the end. We're going to leave the heel part open after I've stuffed it. And then we're going to, excuse me, let that cool off. If you have little clamps or little clips or something you want to put on these, or if you want to throw it under a big heavy book, even better. You have a better chance of not popping a seam if you sit and hold it. But, you know, who's got time to sit and hold it? So, okay. So now this is the first one we just did. So now we can fill it, we can fill the rest of it with the polyfill. Just to make it all look uniform and even inside. We're just going to put in a couple of poofs. Kind of move it around, And when I'm doing this, I'm making sure that there aren't any seams that have come undone or little pieces where I need just a smidge of glue to hold it together. And then you just poke that in there. And now we're going to go ahead, push all the polyfill inside, and we're going to glue this end. And this one, just hold it shut. So it's got a little bit of a pillowed effect. It's not big, but it has a little pillowed effect. It's not as big, but it's still super cute. I mean, you can see on this, the little bit of a pillow really makes a difference on it. It's still really cute. So, like I said, I don't prefer one or the other the way it looks, but I love sewing them better. That's just, you know, I like the sewing part. So, and my daughter works with me. I brought her in the company 2 years ago, and she now works with me, you know, every day. She comes in, she brings her dogs, and we have doggy daycare here, and then she helps me with the parrots, of course, because they all love her. She's like the parrot whisperer. They tolerate me, but they love her to death. So sometimes I need her to come and help me with the parrots. But then last year with COVID, my son actually came and worked with us for several months last year. And he's been working with us a little bit this year. He's helped me with the web page. He helps me with, he got my Etsy back up and running and just looking somewhat decent. All this technical stuff, all these lights, all these cameras. He's bought other things that we haven't hooked up yet. He helps me with that kind. And he also cuts fabric. He's, you know, being a man, he's got a much stronger grip, and he can cut through 4, sometimes 6 layers of fabric where I'm struggling. You know, my hands just aren't that strong like they used to be. So he will come over sometimes and just knock out cutting, you know, a ton of fabric and then go home. You know, I mean, that's all he does, but it's amazing. It really is. I always say I'm just the luckiest person in the world because my kids want to come work with me. Like, it's not because they have to, it's because they want to, you know, and they live in Huntsville. They live 30 minutes away, but they drive here every day to come work with Mom. I mean, I think it's pretty cool. And they fully, you know, encourage me in everything we're doing with this company. And they both want to see it. They've both been around. They both want to see it grow. You know, they were both involved when I bought the craft house and all of that. So it's just been fun. Okay, so back to this. Now, I'm going to look at both sides. And if I see any side where it is uneven, where the two fabrics aren't quite lining up, I'm literally just going to snip it off a little bit. Just because it doesn't have to be perfect, but I don't know. I'm just one of those people. I'm going to go and I'm going to just kind of look at the ends. And usually it's at the toes. You know, the toes are the part. This one's lined up perfectly. So I'll do the same thing really quick on the ears. And, oh, I haven't finished gluing those. Never mind. I gotta glue those still. So anyway, the feet look fine. Wait, one more little spot right here. See, I could sit and trim it all day. You know how that is, guys. Have you ever cut your own hair and you trim a little, then you trim a little more and trim a little more? Yeah. Eventually you're like, I have to stop or I will be bald. Okay. So these are our little pads of our feet. Okay. This is the easiest way to do this. So you place it where you want it on the foot. And same thing we've always done to keep our fingers from touching the hot glue. Use the back of your hand, your last fingers, to hold it down and fold it upwards. And just kind of, you have to kind of hold the foot in place too. You don't want it slipping around. And you come here, and I usually only glue the very outsides of these feet. I don't put glue on the inside. It just depends on what fabric I'm using. And then you just fold it over. It goes right into the place where you wanted it to go. Then you fold over the back side. Same thing. Put a line of glue right along the back. Fold it over onto place, okay? Now, these little ones you really can't do that with. So I just grab it with my thumb and finger and just make a circle of glue. It's not the easiest thing to do with this gigantic glue gun, but with my little glue gun, it's not a big deal. And then I just set it down on there. I make sure these two kind of line up. They're going the same direction. If it's tilted, it kind of looks wonky. So we're gonna just put a little bit of glue back here and set it on there. Make sure it's where I want it, and then hold it down. I don't know if you guys can see everything I'm doing here. So like that. And you just have to, you know, look to see where you want it. And, like I said, it's hard to do this with this big glue gun. I should have brought my little one in here. Okay, so see, I haven't pressed it down yet, but once I press it down, it looks pretty good. It's where it should be. Okay, so we're gonna let those cool off over there, and we'll do this one. Okay, so we will put it right where you want it. Hold it down with your pinky finger and your ring finger, and then fold it up. Make half a circle there, and let it fall. And it's gonna fall right where you want it. Now the only drawback to using this cotton fabric is it does fray. You are gonna have little bitty edges, like even on this one, I could see right here, there's a couple little frays. With cotton, there's really not much you can do about that. If you want to use felts or fleeces or even flannel kind of frays, if you want to use one of those types for your print or for your pads and stuff, they don't fray whatsoever, but they also don't come in all the cute patterns. So it's just really what you want, you know. If you just want solid, pink, then get felt. Felt, you can buy a sheet of felt for what, $1? I think the little 8x12 sheets of felt are like $1. Get a couple of those, and I mean, you're not even going to use $1/4 of one to make these little things. So do any color you want, any color. I think they even have a leopard felt sheet. It's just kind of ugly. I mean, I think I looked at it and I went, no, I like my cotton fabric better. It's a little harder to work with, but it doesn't fray that much that it makes a huge deal. But like for me, it's not a big deal whatsoever. And you can always, like on this one back here, oops, I added a black trim around it to kind of hide where it was fraying. I didn't really like it too much. Now this will stand out in a wreath really bright, right? This is, the black around it makes it pop. But I didn't like it as much as the plain one. But then again, it's your wreath. Do what you want with it. And by God, people, face your ears whatever way you want to. Don't let anybody tell you it's wrong. Don't let anybody tell you that the vision you had in your wreath is wrong. It's not wrong. You can face your ears frontwards, backwards. You can do this thing. You can do this thing. I mean, you got pipe cleaners in there, so they'll stay whatever way you put them. For goodness sakes, do not let somebody come on to a group or anywhere that you posted a picture and tell you your ears are backwards. I mean, I've got like 3 words for those people, and they're not very nice. But it's called artistic license. Artistic license, if you look it up, it is just the ability for an artist to make something with their vision. And it may not be correct in the eyes of everybody else, but it's their vision. Like, look at Picasso. He threw eyes and a nose halfway across the page. I mean, nobody's saying, why is the nose not next to the eyes or something? You know what I mean? Like, it was his vision. I'm not comparing you guys to Picasso either, or myself either, but I'm just saying you have the right to make your wreaths any way you want, and do not let anybody bully or berate you because of the choice you made. Do not. Stand up for yourself, stand up for your friends, stand up for other people in this group who you might see on other groups that is getting bullied because of it. Just don't. I wish some of the moderators in those groups would just delete some people for the nasty things that they say. Just delete them. Just remove them from the group. Like, if you can't be nice, constructive criticism is one thing, but when you just come out and be a full-on Karen, Sorry, Karens. Sorry, the Karens of the world, but your name is now synonymous with, you know, just being really, you know what I'm saying. You just don't deserve to be in a group like that. You really don't. I would never in a million years allow somebody just to be bullied over something like that. And I have, if you've ever been on those groups, if I see somebody doing the ear, this is the 5th year we've been through this ear debate, guys. It's not going away. I understand that. But every single time I see it, you know, I do try to stand up for that person, that artist who was brave enough to put their wreath on a wreath group with, you know, 30,000 people and 30,000 opinions. You know, kudos, people that can do that. But do not berate people. Do not. Okay, so I'm literally just going down this pipe cleaner kind of on both sides. We're going to finish gluing these ears because I didn't do it earlier. You can flip it over and make sure you don't get any glue on your hands. I've learned over the years how not to get burned because I've been burned 1,000 times. I use such a hot glue gun. This is the glue gun kind of like the Uline glue gun, whatever. It's got the dial down here where you can put it at whatever temperature you want. My sweet spot is usually around 350. I don't go much higher than that. If you guys have the Uline glue gun that Deco Exchange sells, keep it around 350. I don't think you really need to go any hotter than that. And I do notice when I get up near the 400s, I will see smoke, kind of like your glue skillets. We don't use skillets here, but or your glue pots, you know, you can have the smoke coming out. Yeah, you don't want that. 350 is good, but you know, that's plenty hot. It will take your skin off though if you know, get it in a sensitive area. You know, in the summertime, it's inevitable. I'm going to be gluing something and something is going to drip down on my leg or my thigh because I'll be wearing shorts every time, and that thing will blister up for days. But you got, I mean, I use so much glue. I go through 25 pounds of glue sticks, these big ones, and 10 pounds of the mini ones every 3 months. Every 3 months I have it on auto. It comes, and sometimes I'm running really short. I'm down to my last 2 or 3 glue sticks, and I know it's on auto ship, so I should get it. But you know, I've had to run to Walmart before to get just one pack of glue sticks just to tide me over. So I use a lot of hot glue. Okay. So now on these, just going to kind of look at the edges, make sure these line up. And this one was really off. The other side is good. Just don't want it to be really blatantly obvious. Like that one's perfect, so no big deal. You can drink water. It's a lot of talking for me anyway. Okay, so now we're going to do the exact same thing we did with everything else as far as putting our inner ear on. We're going to set it on there where we want it. And we're going to use our hand to hold it back, fold this. Oops. And we're going to do, now on the ears, I don't know why, but I do put just a little bit on the inside, but mostly I just worry about the outside edge of the ear. Because it's so flat, it's not like it's going to crinkle or anything. And then, oops. Don't need a lot of glue, guys. Don't clop it on there. I mean, it's fabric on felt. It's, you know, I get it. We have to put big globs of glue to hold your picks and your florals and all that stuff into a grapevine or into deco mesh and all that. But with fabric, I use the tip of my glue gun to smooth the glue gun out, or to smooth the glue out sometimes when I don't want it to be a thick line. I'll use it. I'll put the thick line and then I'll take the tip of the glue gun and I'll just smear it a little bit. And that keeps you from having a harsh, rubbery glue gook underneath your, you know, like you could feel the glue under there. Use your glue gun as your spreader too. It works. Okay, so same thing, hold that back. Now when you're doing like this, you can't spread it because you don't have anything behind it, but if I was on here, I would go back and forth a few times. Well, I would put the glue on there and then I would use the tip to kind of, you know, smear it around a little bit. so that it's not one big bead. I guess bead is the word I was looking for. And it's very important, especially when you're working with the foam and stuff, when we do top hats and all that sort of thing, you've got to put your fabric down before that glue starts to cool off. Because otherwise you will, if you run your finger along the fabric and the foam, like, let's see this one. If you don't put the fabric down while the glue is still really hot, you're going to be able to see all the lines and you're going to be able to feel all the bumps from the hot glue. So you have to do it in steps, do little bits at a time, and make sure you're adhering that fabric while it's still really hot. We will definitely be doing some top hats. There is a creative challenge, and guys, we were invited, and I'm so stinking excited. I will be right there with Coach Jackie and Coach Mel and Coach Tammy, which is kind of funny to say. And Jordan. Is Jordan a coach? Do you call him coach? I don't know. And Damon and the whole Deco Exchange crew. We were invited to come and do the next creative challenge because we're going to be making all the extra things. All the little things you put, not making wreaths. I mean, they've done wreaths, they've done mantles, they've done garland. I don't even know. There's been so many challenges. But this challenge in March 19th and 20th, if you haven't gotten it yet, you need to. It's $15 if you do it through the Makers University portal. $15, guys, and you're going to learn so much. But I know Jordan's doing his rag bow. He's the only one I know so far of what they're doing. I don't even know what I'm doing yet. So I guess we'll just wait and find out what everyone is planning, and then I'll figure out something to do. But it's going to be all this kind of stuff, all the extra stuff you add, making picks, top hats. I don't even know. I don't know what their ideas are yet. So far, they've just thrown out some things, but I don't have any confirmation exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be fun. Okay, so now we have our ears and we have our feet. So we're going to glue our feet on. Okay, so had you sewn these and then stuffed them, and you would do the exact same thing. You would glue the pads and the toes on, but you would have a sewn foot. But you would have this little hole right here because that's how you turned it inside out and stuffed it. You would take your glue and you would go around that hole and you would set it down like this, and nobody would ever know that hole was there. And that's why I use that method. If you try to leave a hole on the edge, then you have a wonky little indented spot that just doesn't line up with your the rest of the item, your project. But we're going to do the same thing on this one. I'm literally just putting circle after circle after circle, and I'm going to use the tip of the glue gun to kind of spread it out. And I have a pretty good circle there. It's probably golf ball size. I think you guys can see it. And then I just set it on there. Set it on there. See, about right there. The reason I have it cut here like a moon shape almost is because it almost gives the illusion that it's got little legs. I mean, as best as you can when you're gluing something like this together. If you did a full circle, it's nothing wrong with a full circle, but this kind of gives the impression that it has little thighs back here. I mean, really, it's just for looks. So we used to do the full round ones. In fact, I still have a few ones that are, the bunny butt part was just totally round. But then we've kind of, over the years, we've just kind of changed it. Now take your other foot and just get it up there, make them even, like that, see? Make them even, and then you're gonna wanna hold them. Really give them a chance to adhere. Now this plush felt, it can be a little tricky sometimes. Sometimes it will pull away and you have to re-glue it. Very rarely, but every once in a while, if you don't hold it long enough, it can pull away like up around the edge somewhere, and you'll see the shiny glue underneath, and you'll just have to put another line of glue and hold it a little longer. So, all right, and then you get your little pom-pom, and I always part my pom-pom. I just pull the hair away until I get down to the center, and and then I put the glue on that. Put a good dollop of glue, and then stick your tail wherever you want it. And then normally this is where I just stop, take a drink, sit here and I hold it. You know, I'll do this, see what's on Netflix. Just kind of hold it. You don't have to hold it for a long time, but I would say a good minute. And sometimes a minute is a long time when you're just sitting here holding something. You feel like, okay, I could be doing something else right now. Okay, so isn't that adorable? Super easy. And you guys, you can make this any sizes you want to. Like if you want this to be smaller, then just cut it, you know, take your pattern and cut like a 1/2 inch to 1 inch smaller. You know, you can make picks out of it if you wanted to do a pick. Just follow the same lines, but just go in about 2 inches then. You can measure 2 inches all the way around and then make your lines. Really, honestly, the butt part is the easiest part. I mean, it can be any size you want it, really. But, you know, this one looks proportionate. So, okay, so those of you who want to attach your ears to your butt, and I know some people do like that look, where these are actually glued into this. Or whatever, you could glue it this way, turn it this way, or this way and have it go this way. I like to have them separate. I like seeing the separation of deco mesh from the bunny butt and then the ears poking out the top. I just think that looks better than having it all one piece. But then, you know, it's your vision, it's your wreath, so you do it however you want to. But you can't, right? At this point, if you wanted, you could glue these ears into place back here. You would just hot glue it right there. Let me get all these out of the way. And then pose them however you want them. I'm not going to. So for me, the ears are pretty much done. They're done. I'm going to do these separately. Use the little bit of the pipe cleaner sticking out down here to hook it, wrap it around your work wreath form. And then you pose them however you want. And the great thing about the deco mesh and all of that is it will hold up the bottom portion of this. It's going to hold it up for you so that you can make the ears however you want them. So now we're just really quickly going to put the backing on. This can be a little tricky. Like I said, this isn't something that I think everybody would want to do. You could try the cable tie mounts. Uh-oh. Oh, see, look. We lost this because I didn't hold it long enough. I'm going to re-glue the same spot. Put him back on there. Aw, he lost his little tail. Yeah, I didn't wait long. I mean, I feel bad making you guys sit here and wait while I sit and hold this, but I guess we're going to have to because it just popped off. So when you put the hot glue back on top of the cooled hot glue, it just heats it all up again. So, you know, you don't have to put a lot more on there. So now we're going to flip it over and we're not going to mess with it. Maybe if we just leave it like that, it'll do its thing. Okay, so I have a piece of felt. You can use the plush felt back here if you want to. We had some plain white felt, and so that's what I'm going to use. And like I said, this is the way we do it when we sell our wreath attachments with the pipe cleaners. But if you have an easier way, by all means. This does get a little bit more close and personal with the glue gun, I guess. Okay, so our pipe cleaners are both going upwards. Out of the way. They're both going upwards. And I have the felt. I can see the felt. Now the felt is a little bit bigger than the actual board. So I cut it, and you can see it's not perfect, and it's all jaggedy. You could even, if this was a big square, you could still do this. Because you're going to trim it. You're going to trim off all the little edges when you're done. But I use my finger. I feel for that pipe cleaner, and I take my scissors, and I cut holes right where the pipe cleaner meets the foam board underneath. And it's really hard to see. I know you guys probably cannot. But then what I'll do is I will fold this back. Still, my fingers are still holding this in place so it doesn't slide around. Fold it back, take a pipe cleaner, and I can see the holes that I just created with the scissors. Push the pipe cleaners through. Uh-oh, I can't see this hole. White felt makes it difficult. Okay, there it is. Okay, so now I pull all 4 of these little pipe cleaners through there. Spread it down. All right, So now we're good. Same thing we've been doing. We're going to fold back half of it. Now this is where you can liberally use the glue gun. You want to make sure you get all the way to the edge, but not going over the edge, all the way around. This is the back, so remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then I just do a couple of ziggy-zaggies through the foam board part. And you take this and go like that. Flip it around. Same thing. Fold this back. Now you kind of have to be quick on this. You make sure you have a full glue stick. You don't want to dilly-dally when you're doing this, but you don't need it doesn't need to be perfect, and you don't need like to cover every square inch. So you can very easily just squiggly line it on there. And then I flip it over. Again, don't want to get any glue on me. And when you're pushing it on the flat surface of the board down here, it makes sure everything goes. Okay, so now I have all this, I have a little bit of overhang here, so I just take my scissors and just very easily go around and just trim off all the little edges so that they don't show. And if you don't make your backing big enough, you may not, or if you make it the exact size, you may not even have anything to trim off. But I tend to make my backings a little bit bigger so that I don't have to be so precise when I set it down. All right, there we go. That is done. So you have the 2 pipe cleaners. Of course, you would probably need to add extensions to these to get them into your wreath. I personally would do the side and the bottom, the top and the side. You'd have 4 to really hold it in there. But, you know, I don't know if it needs that kind of like serious to be held in, because it's so lightweight. That's the great thing about these foam board ones. They're so light. And then the little ears. And you can literally put it in whatever wreath you want. I mean, it's so stinking cute. And if you, like I said, if you don't like the leopard print, find one you like. It can be anything in any color fur. Use this pattern to make whatever you like. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I think this is going to be a really, really fun thing that we're going to do every month. And I hope I've already got visions in my mind of what next month is going to look like. It'll be a patriotic theme. I know you guys will absolutely love it. But this is the first one, and I wanted to just kind of do one that was a little, I won't say simple, but this really is one of the easier patterns that we make year round. Next month, it'll be a few more pieces. It'll be a little more having to put together. It's going to be like the next step up of a no-sew attachment. So, like I said, it's in my head. I just haven't put it down yet. I started to scribble it today, and Liv was looking over my shoulder. She goes, "Oh, Mom, I really like that." So I know I'm on the right track, because if she says she likes it, then I know my vision is something that is pleasing to the eye, and not just... You know, sometimes I make things, guys, and I throw them away because they really are ugly. I mean, and we all do that, right? You take apart a wreath because you just don't like the way it flows. So I'm just on my worst, my biggest critic as well. And when Liv's, you know, peeking over my shoulder and says, "Oh, I like that," that really lets me know that I'm on the right track for something. So I'm excited about next month. And it very well may, well, it'll probably be next month, because I've got a pretty busy March already lined up here, so I'm not sure if I'll get it done this month or in March. Gosh, so it might be an April item. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how well this one goes over. Who knows? They may say, "No, we don't need any more." People hated it. Whatever. I doubt it, though. I think you guys will really enjoy this kind of thing. Some of you may already be in wreath attachment making groups out there. I know there's a few of them that have surfaced over this past, year. I mean, we're all pivoting with COVID. We all have to do something different, because last year it just seemed like, everybody was afraid to make wreaths. So, I mean, I know a lot of businesses really did suffer, the small businesses. So, of course, we were busier than ever, but that's beside the point. I really wanted to change the business around too, because we're working so much, I don't have time to do anything else. And by teaching you guys how to make some of this and spending a few days a week with my subscription group, and teaching them how to do it, it's been a lot of fun. I didn't think I would like it. I didn't think I was the type of person that could teach other people, but I really am. So, and I'm learning that and more and more and more. So now that we've got all the technical stuff out of the way, which was terrifying, you know, guys, come on, technical, lights, cameras, all that stuff, Mevos, all that stuff gets very, very overwhelming. So I'm just happy to be in a place now where I'm comfortable with all my online stuff. I'm comfortable. Guys, I even have my taxes ready. I haven't turned them in yet, but they're ready. So all this stuff, you know, that we all go crazy every month for, I feel like this is going to be my thing. This is going to be it. And I hope you all enjoy this. Make your items, post them in the creative group, post pictures of your wreaths, show people out there what you can do. You didn't buy it, you made it. That's a big deal. It's a really big deal. You know, you always make the wreaths. And not everybody's going to want to make attachments, and that's okay. That's fine. Those are still my customers. They still come and buy attachments from me, and we will still continue to make them. But for those of you who want to give it a shot, I mean, why not? You know, it's fun. So anyway, you can reach me through derekasdesigns.com on Facebook. I have a business page, Dereka's Designs. I have a private group. It's Dereka's Designs private group. So, I mean, you can reach me anywhere if you have any kind of questions or need to reach out about anything. And I welcome any and all feedback, anything I can do to make this whole process of these videos better for you. I'm here. I want to make this a good experience for you. My tutorials in the future will probably be a lot less backstory. I wanted you all to know who I was and what we did. So that's why I kind of included a lot more personal stuff in this video. But going forward, I mean, we can really cut to the chase and make things, and y'all will know me and know what I do. And hopefully we'll maybe do a live one day and make one on a live where you all can actually physically, you know, interact with me and comment, and we can do all of that. But that's down the line, okay? I don't know if I'm quite ready for that big of a thing. I mean, I do in my subscription group, but there's not that many people, and you know, it's very intimate. So I want to get better at these attachments and teaching you guys before I jump onto a live with a group as large as this one. I could be a little overwhelming. You guys understand, I'm sure. So anyway, you guys have a fabulous day. I hope you enjoy this. And like I said, any and all feedback, positive, negative, whatever, please let me know. I know I talk a lot, so that is one thing I will work on. But for the most part, I really enjoy people. I really enjoy getting to know people, so I hope you do as well. So a little info about me. You know, I will try to put little tidbits in here and there, because some things that happen to us are just funny. So I think they're funny. So you guys. So please join the Creative Coaching Challenge, which is March the 20th, 19th and 20th. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know what I'm in for. I really don't know. I don't know what to expect. You know, they've all been doing this for months. I don't know. So I'll be the new kid on the block. And, you know, obviously they'll welcome me in with open arms, because that's just the kind of people they are. So I'm very, very excited. So that is it for today. You guys have a fantastic day, and I will definitely talk to you all soon. Okay? Bye-bye.